Picture this, a small, dusty village in the middle of nowhere, where children walk miles every day just to fetch water that isn't even safe to drink. Now imagine a retired engineer, someone who could have spent his golden years relaxing by the beach, deciding to step in and change that reality. This is the story of John, a man who, after decades of working in the corporate world, used his expertise to design affordable water filtration systems for rural communities. His work didn't just bring clean water to thousands, it gave them hope, health, and a future. This is just one example of how retirees are rewriting the script of what it means to grow older. Retirement isn't the end of the road, it's a new beginning, a chance to use a lifetime of skills, wisdom, and passion to make a real difference. These stories aren't just inspiring, they're a reminder that no matter your age, you have the power to leave a lasting impact on the world. And today, we're diving into 20 incredible stories of retirees who did just that. From teachers building schools to nurses opening free clinics, these individuals prove that retirement can be the start of something extraordinary. So, if you've ever wondered what it looks like to live a life of purpose, even after the 9-to-5 ends, stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll not only be inspired, you might just find yourself rethinking what's possible in your own life. Let's get started. Now, let's turn our attention to a story that reminds us how one person's dedication can transform an entire community. Meet Margaret, a retired teacher who spent over 30 years shaping young minds in the classroom. But when she retired, she didn't hang up her passion for education. She took it to a whole new level. Margaret had always dreamed of doing something bigger, something that would leave a lasting legacy. So when she learned about a small, underserved village where children had no access to proper schooling, she knew what she had to do. Using her pension savings, Margaret set out to build a school from the ground up. It wasn't easy. She faced countless challenges, from securing land to navigating bureaucratic hurdles, but her determination never wavered. The school she built wasn't just a building, it was a beacon of hope. For the first time, children in the village had a safe place to learn, grow, and dream of a brighter future. Margaret didn't stop there. She trained local teachers, developed a curriculum tailored to the community's needs, and even started a program to provide meals for students who often came to school hungry. The impact of her work was profound. Families who once saw no future for their children now had hope. Graduates from Margaret's school went on to become nurses, engineers, and even teachers themselves, creating a ripple effect of change that continues to this day. Margaret's story is a powerful reminder that retirement doesn't mean stepping back. It can mean stepping up. Her courage, resourcefulness, and unwavering belief in the power of education show us that it's never too late to make a difference. And as we move to the next story, we'll see how another retiree used their skills to tackle a completely different challenge, proving once again that purpose knows no age limit. Now, let's dive into a story that shows how innovation and compassion can come together to solve one of the world's most pressing challenges. Meet Robert, a retired engineer who spent decades working on complex projects in the corporate world. But when he stepped away from his career, he didn't stop solving problems. He just shifted his focus to something far more personal: clean water. Robert had always been fascinated by the intersection of technology and human need. During his travels, he visited rural communities where access to clean water was a daily struggle. Families were forced to drink from contaminated sources, leading to illness and hardship. For Robert, this wasn't just a problem, it was a call to action. Using his engineering expertise, Robert set out to design a water filtration system that was both affordable and easy to maintain. He knew that high-tech solutions wouldn't work in these communities, so he focused on simplicity and durability. His system used locally available materials and could be assembled with minimal training, making it accessible to even the most remote villages. The impact was immediate. Families who once relied on unsafe water sources now had access to clean, drinkable water. Children were healthier, schools saw fewer absences, and communities began to thrive. But Robert didn't stop there. He trained local technicians to build and maintain the systems, ensuring that the solution would last for generations. What started as a retirement project quickly turned into a second career. Robert traveled from village to village, not just installing systems but also teaching communities how to take charge of their own water needs. His work became a model for sustainable development, proving that even the most complex problems can be tackled with creativity and determination. Robert's story reminds us that retirement can be a time to channel our skills and passions into something truly transformative. His journey from corporate engineer to water advocate shows that purpose doesn't fade with age, it evolves. And as we move to the next story, we'll see how another retiree used their unique talents to bring joy and healing to those who needed it most. Now, let's turn our attention to a story that highlights the power of compassion and determination in the face of healthcare inequality. Meet Margaret, a retired nurse who spent over 3 decades caring for patients in hospitals and clinics. But when she retired, she didn't hang up her stethoscope. She used her experience to address a critical need in her own community. Margaret had always been deeply committed to the idea that healthcare is a right, not a privilege. After retiring, she noticed that many people in her neighborhood, especially those without insurance or stable incomes, were struggling to access basic medical care. For Margaret, this wasn't just an observation, it was a call to action. With her savings and a small team of volunteers, Margaret transformed an empty storefront into a free clinic. The journey wasn't easy. She faced countless challenges, from securing medical supplies to navigating local regulations. But Margaret's determination never wavered. She reached out to fellow healthcare professionals, many of whom were also retired, and together they built a network of support. The clinic opened its doors with a simple mission: to provide quality care to anyone who walked in, regardless of their ability to pay. From routine checkups to managing chronic conditions, Margaret and her team offered services that many in the community had gone without for years. The impact was profound. Patients who had avoided doctors for fear of cost now had a place to turn, and families no longer had to choose between paying for medicine or putting food on the table. But Margaret's work went beyond treating illnesses. She also focused on education, teaching her patients how to manage their health and prevent future problems. She held workshops on nutrition, exercise, and disease prevention, empowering her community to take control of their well-being. Over time, the clinic became more than just a medical facility. It became a symbol of hope. Margaret's dedication inspired others to get involved, and the clinic grew into a thriving hub of care and compassion. Her story is a testament to the idea that retirement isn't an end but a new beginning, a chance to use our skills and passions to make a lasting difference. As we move forward, we'll explore how another retiree used their creativity to breathe new life into their community, proving that even the simplest acts can have a ripple effect of change. Now, let's step into a world where creativity becomes a catalyst for change. Meet Clara, a retired artist whose passion for painting didn't fade when she left her career behind. It blossomed into something even greater. After decades of working in galleries and studios, Clara returned to her hometown, a place that had seen better days. The streets were lined with faded buildings, and the sense of community had dwindled. But Clara saw potential where others saw despair. With a paintbrush in hand and a vision in her heart, Clara set out to transform her town. She began by creating vibrant murals on the blank walls of abandoned buildings. Each mural told a story of hope, resilience, and the rich history of the community. Her art wasn't just decorative, it was a conversation starter, a way to remind people of the beauty and strength that surrounded them. But Clara didn't stop there. She knew that art had the power to bring people together, so she started hosting free workshops in the town square. people of all ages, children, parents, and even other retirees gathered to learn painting, sculpture, and other creative skills. These workshops became more than just art classes. They were spaces where neighbors connected, shared stories, and rediscovered their sense of belonging. As the murals spread and the workshops grew, something remarkable happened. The town began to change. Tourists started visiting to see the colorful streets, and local businesses saw a boost in foot traffic. But more importantly, the people who lived there felt a renewed pride in their community. Clara's art had sparked a cultural revival, proving that creativity could be a powerful force for transformation. Clara's story reminds us that retirement can be a time to reimagine our talents and use them to inspire others. Her murals didn't just brighten walls, they brightened lives, showing that even the simplest acts of creativity can leave a lasting impact. Next, we'll meet a retired businessman who turned his expertise into a lifeline for young entrepreneurs, proving that mentorship can be just as impactful as any career. Now, let's shift our focus to the world of business and mentorship, where experience meets opportunity. Meet Robert, a retired executive who spent decades climbing the corporate ladder, only to realize that his true calling wasn't in boardrooms, it was in helping others reach their potential. After a successful career leading a Fortune 500 company, Robert decided to step away from the corporate world, but not from making an impact. Robert's journey into mentorship began almost by accident. A young entrepreneur approached him at a local networking event, seeking advice on how to scale a small tech startup. What started as a casual conversation turned into a weekly mentorship session. Robert quickly realized how much he enjoyed sharing his knowledge and guiding others through the challenges he had once faced. Soon, word spread about Robert's expertise, and he found himself mentoring not just one, but dozens of young entrepreneurs. His approach was simple yet effective. He focused on teaching practical strategies from financial planning to team management, while also instilling a sense of resilience and adaptability. Robert believed that success wasn't just about having a great idea, it was about having the grit to see it through. One of the startups Robert mentored was a small, eco-friendly packaging company struggling to find its footing. With his guidance, the founders refined their business model, secured funding, and expanded their reach. Today, that company is a leader in sustainable packaging, employing hundreds and making a significant environmental impact. But Robert's philosophy went beyond just business success. He often said, "The true measure of wealth isn't what you accumulate, it's what you give back." For him, mentoring wasn't just about sharing knowledge, it was about creating a ripple effect of positive change. Many of the entrepreneurs he mentored have gone on to mentor others, creating a cycle of empowerment and growth. Robert's story is a testament to the power of experience and generosity. By dedicating his retirement to helping others, he didn't just transform businesses, he transformed lives, proving that the best way to leave a legacy is to invest in the next generation. Next, we'll meet a retired farmer whose generosity fed thousands, showing us how one person's dedication can address a pressing global issue. Now, let's turn our attention to the fields and farms, where one man's dedication to the land became a lifeline for thousands. Meet Henry, a retired farmer who spent his life cultivating the soil, only to discover that his greatest harvest wasn't crops, it was hope. After decades of running a successful family farm, Henry decided to retire, but he couldn't simply walk away from the land he loved. Instead, he found a new purpose, feeding the hungry. Henry began donating a significant portion of his crops to local food banks, ensuring that fresh, nutritious produce reached those who needed it most. What started as a small gesture soon grew into a movement. Henry didn't stop at donations. He knew that addressing hunger required more than just food, it required knowledge. He started hosting workshops on sustainable farming practices, teaching others how to grow their own food efficiently and responsibly. From urban gardens to community plots, Henry's lessons empowered people to take control of their food supply, even in the most challenging conditions. One of his most impactful projects was a partnership with a low-income neighborhood. Henry helped transform a vacant lot into a thriving community garden, providing fresh produce and a sense of pride to the residents. "When you grow your own food," he often said, "you're not just feeding your body, you're feeding your spirit." Henry's work didn't just address food insecurity, it inspired a wave of change. Other farmers began following his lead, donating surplus crops and sharing their expertise. Schools started incorporating gardening into their curricula, teaching children the value of sustainability. Even local governments took notice, implementing policies to support urban agriculture and reduce food waste. Through his generosity and vision, Henry showed that one person's actions could ripple outward, creating a healthier, more resilient community. His story reminds us that the seeds of change are often planted in the most unexpected places, and that with care and dedication, they can grow into something extraordinary. Next, we'll meet a retired librarian whose love for books brought the joy of reading to those who needed it most, proving that even the smallest acts can have a profound impact. Now, let's step into the world of books and stories, where one woman's love for reading became a beacon of hope for countless others. Meet Margaret, a retired librarian who spent her career surrounded by books, only to realize that her true calling was to bring the joy of reading to those who needed it most. After decades of working in a bustling city library, Margaret retired, but her passion for books never faded. She noticed that many rural and remote communities lacked access to libraries, leaving children and adults without the resources to explore the world of literature. Determined to make a difference, Margaret came up with a bold idea, a mobile library. With her savings and a donated van, Margaret transformed her vision into reality. She filled the van with books of all genres, children's stories, novels, educational materials, and more, and began driving to remote areas, bringing the library to those who couldn't reach one. Her mobile library became a lifeline for communities that had long been overlooked. The challenges were significant: navigating rough terrain, dealing with limited funding, and convincing skeptical communities to embrace her project were just a few of the obstacles Margaret faced. But her determination never wavered. She believed that every person, no matter where they lived, deserved the chance to discover the magic of reading. Margaret's efforts began to bear fruit. Children who had never held a book before started devouring stories, their imaginations ignited by the worlds within the pages. Adults who had struggled with literacy found hope in the educational materials she provided, gaining the skills they needed to improve their lives. Over time, literacy rates in the areas she served began to rise, a testament to the power of her work. One of her most memorable moments came when a young boy in a remote village told her, "This is the first book I've ever owned. Thank you for showing me that stories can take me anywhere." For Margaret, moments like these were the true reward, proving that her efforts were making a lasting impact. Margaret's mobile library didn't just deliver books, it delivered opportunity, empowerment, and a sense of connection. Her story reminds us that even the simplest acts, like sharing a book, can change lives in profound ways. Next, we'll meet a retired veteran whose mission to build homes for fellow veterans became a testament to the power of service and solidarity. Now, let's shift our focus to a story of service and solidarity, where one man's dedication to his fellow veterans transformed lives in ways he never imagined. Meet John, a retired Army veteran who, after decades of serving his country, found a new mission: building homes for homeless veterans. John's military background shaped his life in profound ways. After serving multiple tours overseas, he returned home with a deep understanding of the challenges veterans face when reintegrating into civilian life. He noticed that many of his fellow servicemen and women struggled with homelessness, often due to a lack of support and resources. This realization sparked a fire within him. Determined to make a difference, John founded a non-profit organization called Homes for Heroes. Starting with just a small team of volunteers and limited funding, he set out to build safe, affordable housing for veterans in need. His vision was simple yet powerful. No veteran should have to sleep on the streets after sacrificing so much for their country. The journey wasn't easy. John faced countless obstacles, from securing land and permits to raising enough funds to keep the organization running. But his military training had taught him resilience, and he approached every challenge with the same determination he'd shown on the battlefield. Over time, his efforts began to gain traction. Local communities rallied behind his cause, and donations started pouring in. One of the organization's first projects was a small housing complex in John's hometown. When the first group of veterans moved in, the impact was immediate. For many, it was the first time in years they had a place to call their own. John recalls one veteran, a former Marine named Mike, who had been living in his car for over a year. When Mike received the keys to his new home, he broke down in tears, saying, "This is more than a roof over my head. It's a second chance at life." As Homes for Heroes grew, so did its reach. John expanded the organization's mission to include job training, mental health support, and community building programs. He believed that providing a home was just the first step. True healing came from creating a sense of belonging and purpose. Today, John's nonprofit has built hundreds of homes across the country, changing the lives of countless veterans. His story is a testament to the power of service, showing that the bonds forged in the military can extend far beyond the battlefield. Next, we'll explore the inspiring journey of a retired scientist who turned her passion for the environment into a global movement to combat climate change. Now, let's turn our attention to a story of innovation and determination, where one woman's scientific expertise became a driving force in the fight against climate change. Meet Dr. Emily Carter, a retired environmental scientist who, after a distinguished career in academia, decided to channel her knowledge into activism. Dr. Carter's journey began with decades of groundbreaking research on renewable energy and sustainable practices. Her work had always been rooted in the belief that science could provide solutions to some of the world's most pressing problems. But as she approached retirement, she realized that her research alone wasn't enough. The urgency of the climate crisis demanded action, and she was determined to lead the charge. After retiring, Dr. Carter founded an organization called Green Horizons, dedicated to promoting clean energy and reducing carbon emissions. She started by working with local communities, helping them transition to solar and wind power. Her approach was hands-on, often visiting towns and cities to educate residents about the benefits of renewable energy and how they could implement it in their daily lives. One of her most impactful initiatives was a program that provided low-interest loans to families and small businesses for installing solar panels. This not only reduced their energy costs but also significantly lowered their carbon footprints. The program quickly gained traction, and within a few years, thousands of households had made the switch to clean energy. Dr. Carter's influence didn't stop at the local level. She became a vocal advocate for stronger environmental policies, testifying before government committees and collaborating with international organizations. Her research provided the scientific backbone for several key pieces of legislation aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions. One of her proudest achievements was her role in the development of a global treaty on climate change. Her tireless advocacy and evidence-based arguments helped shape the treaty's goals, ensuring they were both ambitious and achievable. Her work demonstrated that science and activism could go hand in hand, creating real, lasting change. Today, Dr. Carter continues to inspire through her writing and public speaking. She travels the world, sharing her message of hope and action. Her story reminds us that retirement isn't an end but a new beginning, a chance to use our skills and passions to make a difference. Next, we'll dive into the heartwarming tale of a retired chef who used his culinary talents to transform the lives of at-risk youth. Now, let's step into the kitchen, where a retired chef turned his passion for food into a lifeline for at-risk youth. Meet Chef Marcus Bennett, a culinary master who, after decades of running high-end restaurants, decided to use his skills to give back in a way that would change lives. Chef Bennett's journey began with a simple realization. He had spent years creating exquisite dishes for the elite, but he wanted his legacy to be about more than just fine dining. He noticed that many young people in his community were struggling, facing challenges like poverty, homelessness, and a lack of opportunities. He knew that cooking could be more than just a skill. It could be a pathway to hope, stability, and self-confidence. With this vision, Chef Bennett launched Flavors of Hope, a culinary program designed to teach at-risk youth the art of cooking. The program wasn't just about recipes, it was about building life skills. Students learned everything from knife skills and food safety to menu planning and budgeting. Chef Bennett believed that by mastering these skills, his students could not only find jobs but also gain a sense of purpose and pride. One of the program's most popular classes focused on creating affordable, nutritious meals. Chef Bennett taught his students how to turn simple, inexpensive ingredients into delicious dishes that could feed a family. Recipes like hearty vegetable stews, homemade pasta sauces, and one-pot meals became staples in their kitchens. These lessons not only improved their cooking abilities, but also helped them make healthier choices for themselves and their families. But the impact of Flavors of Hope went far beyond the kitchen. Many of the students came from difficult backgrounds, and the program became a safe space where they could express themselves and build confidence. Chef Bennett often said, "Cooking is about more than food. It's about connection, creativity, and community." His mentorship helped students see their potential, encouraging them to dream bigger and work harder. Over time, the program's success stories began to multiply. One former student, a young woman named Jasmine, went on to open her own catering business, specializing in healthy, affordable meals for schools and community centers. Another, a young man named Carlos, became a sous chef at a popular local restaurant, crediting Chef Bennett for giving him the skills and confidence to succeed. Chef Bennett's work didn't stop at teaching. He also partnered with local businesses to create job placement opportunities for his graduates, ensuring they had a clear path to employment. His efforts not only transformed individual lives but also strengthened the community by addressing food insecurity and unemployment. Today, Chef Bennett continues to inspire through his program, proving that retirement can be a time to give back in meaningful ways. His story reminds us that even the simplest skills like cooking a meal can have a profound impact when shared with care and intention. Next, we'll explore the story of a retired lawyer who dedicated her life to fighting for justice and equality. Now, let's turn our attention to the courtroom, where a retired lawyer turned her years of experience into a powerful force for justice. Meet Elena Hartman, a former corporate attorney who, after decades of navigating high-stakes legal battles, decided to dedicate her retirement to fighting for those who couldn't afford a voice in the legal system. Elena's journey began with a moment of clarity. She had spent years representing corporations, but she realized her true calling was to serve the underserved. She saw how marginalized communities, often facing issues like housing discrimination, unfair labor practices, and immigration challenges, were left without access to proper legal representation. Determined to make a difference, Elena founded Justice for All, a non-profit organization offering free legal aid to those in need. Her work wasn't just about winning cases, it was about challenging systemic injustices. Elena took on cases that others avoided, from fighting for tenants' rights against predatory landlords to advocating for workers denied fair wages. One of her most notable cases involved a group of immigrant workers who were being exploited by a local factory. Elena not only secured their back pay, but also pushed for policy changes that improved working conditions across the industry. Elena's approach was deeply personal. She believed that every case was an opportunity to restore dignity and hope. She often said, "Justice isn't just about the law, it's about people's lives." Her clients weren't just names on a file, they were individuals with stories, struggles, and dreams. This empathy drove her to go above and beyond, often working late into the night to ensure her clients had the best possible representation. Over the years, Elena's efforts led to significant systemic changes. She successfully lobbied for stronger tenant protection laws in her state, ensuring that low-income families had safer, more stable housing. She also played a key role in establishing a legal aid fund, which provided ongoing support for marginalized communities long after her cases were closed. But Elena's legacy extends beyond her legal victories. She mentored a new generation of lawyers, inspiring them to use their skills for social good. Many of her mentees now run their own legal aid organizations, carrying forward her mission of justice and equality. Elena's story is a testament to the power of purpose in retirement. She didn't just retire from her career, she retired into a new chapter of service, proving that the fight for justice knows no age limit. Next, we'll step into the world of music, where a retired musician used his talents to bring joy and healing to those who needed it most. Now, let's shift our focus to the healing power of music, where a retired musician found a way to bring light into some of life's darkest moments. Meet Samuel Turner, a classically trained violinist who, after decades of performing in concert halls around the world, decided to take his talents to a place where they were needed most: hospitals. Samuel's journey began with a simple realization. While music had always been his passion, he wanted to use it to make a difference in people's lives. He started by volunteering at a local children's hospital, where he played his violin in the hallways and patient rooms. What began as a small gesture quickly grew into something much larger. Patients, families, and even hospital staff were moved by the emotional depth of his performances. For Samuel, music wasn't just entertainment, it was therapy. He saw firsthand how a melody could ease pain, calm anxiety, and bring a moment of peace to those facing difficult circumstances. One of his most memorable performances was for a young boy undergoing cancer treatment. The boy's mother later shared that it was the first time she had seen her son smile in weeks. Stories like these became the driving force behind Samuel's mission. Over time, Samuel expanded his efforts, organizing regular performances at multiple hospitals. He played everything from classical pieces to popular tunes, tailoring his music to the preferences of his audience. He even collaborated with hospital staff to create special programs, such as bedside concerts for patients who couldn't leave their rooms. The impact of Samuel's work went beyond the patients. Hospital staff often described his performances as a source of comfort during long, stressful shifts. Nurses and doctors would pause in their busy routines to listen, finding a moment of respite in the music. Samuel's presence became a reminder of the humanity at the heart of healthcare. But Samuel didn't stop there. He began teaching workshops for hospital staff, showing them how to incorporate music into patient care. He also mentored young musicians, encouraging them to use their talents for social good. His efforts sparked a movement, inspiring others to bring music into hospitals and care facilities. Samuel's story is a beautiful example of how art can heal and uplift. Through his music, he brought joy to countless lives, proving that even in retirement, creativity can be a powerful force for good. Next, we'll take to the skies, where a retired pilot used his skills to deliver hope and life-saving supplies to those in need. Now, let's soar into the skies, where a retired pilot turned his lifelong passion for flying into a mission of hope and healing. Meet Captain James Carter, a former commercial airline pilot who, after hanging up his wings, found a new purpose in delivering life-saving medical supplies to some of the most remote and underserved regions in the world. Captain Carter's journey began with a simple yet powerful idea. After decades of flying passengers across the globe, he realized his skills could be put to use in a way that truly made a difference. He joined a non-profit organization dedicated to transporting medical supplies to areas where access to healthcare was limited or non-existent. These missions weren't just about delivering boxes, they were about delivering hope. The logistics of these flights were no small feat. Captain Carter often flew into regions with challenging terrain, unpredictable weather, and limited infrastructure. Landing strips were sometimes little more than dirt roads, and navigation required precision and experience. But for Captain Carter, the challenge was part of the mission. He knew that every flight meant life-saving medications, vaccines, and equipment reaching those who needed them most. One of his most memorable missions took him to a remote village in the mountains where a measles outbreak had left the community in crisis. With no roads leading to the village, the only way to deliver vaccines was by air. Captain Carter's plane was the lifeline that brought not just medicine, but also a sense of relief to the villagers. The local doctor later shared that the supplies he delivered saved dozens of lives, including many children. But Captain Carter's impact went beyond the supplies he transported. His presence brought a sense of connection to these isolated communities. He often spent time talking with locals, learning about their challenges, and sharing stories of his own journey. These interactions reminded people that they weren't forgotten, that someone cared enough to fly across the world to help them. Over time, Captain Carter's dedication inspired others to join the cause. He mentored younger pilots, teaching them the skills needed for these demanding missions. He also worked with organizations to expand their reach, ensuring that more communities could benefit from these critical deliveries. His efforts became a model for how retired professionals could use their expertise to serve others. Captain Carter's story is a testament to the power of purpose. Through his flights, he not only saved lives but also bridged gaps between worlds, proving that even in retirement, the sky is never the limit when it comes to making a difference. Next, we'll step into the world of urban renewal, where a retired gardener transformed neglected spaces into thriving community gardens. Now, let's turn our attention to the ground beneath our feet, where a retired gardener cultivated more than just plants, he grew communities. Meet Robert Greene, a man whose green thumb didn't retire when he did. After decades of tending to private gardens, Robert decided to use his skills to breathe life into neglected urban spaces, transforming vacant lots into vibrant community gardens. Robert's journey began in his own neighborhood, where he noticed an abandoned lot filled with weeds and debris. Instead of seeing it as an eyesore, he saw potential. With permission from the city, he rolled up his sleeves and got to work. Clearing the lot was just the first step. Robert introduced composting techniques to enrich the soil, planted native species to ensure sustainability, and designed the space to be both functional and beautiful. The environmental benefits of his work were immediate. The garden became a haven for pollinators like bees and butterflies, while the plants helped reduce urban heat and improve air quality. But the impact went beyond the environment. Robert's garden became a gathering place for the community. Neighbors who had never spoken before found themselves side by side, planting vegetables, sharing tips, and enjoying the fruits of their labor. One of Robert's most innovative techniques was his focus on education. He hosted workshops on gardening basics, composting, and even cooking with fresh produce. These sessions not only taught valuable skills, but also fostered a sense of pride and ownership among participants. Families who had never grown their own food before were now harvesting tomatoes, peppers, and herbs from the garden. The garden also became a space for cultural exchange. Robert encouraged people from different backgrounds to plant crops that reflected their heritage. Soon, the garden was a colorful tapestry of flavors and traditions, with everything from okra to cilantro thriving side by side. This diversity became a source of connection as neighbors shared stories and recipes, bridging gaps between cultures. Robert's work didn't stop at one lot. His success inspired others to take on similar projects, and he became a mentor to new gardeners across the city. He worked with local schools to create educational gardens, teaching children the importance of sustainability and teamwork. His efforts showed that even small patches of land could have a big impact, not just on the environment, but on the people who tended them. Robert Greene's story is a reminder that beauty and growth can emerge from the most unlikely places. Through his dedication, he turned forgotten spaces into thriving hubs of life and connection, proving that a single gardener with a vision can sow seeds of change that ripple through an entire community. Next, we'll explore the world of history and storytelling, where a retired writer preserved the legacy of her town through the power of words. Now, let's step into the world of ink and paper, where a retired writer turned her passion for storytelling into a mission to preserve the past. Meet Margaret Lane, a woman who didn't just write books, she wrote the history of her town, ensuring its legacy would live on for generations to come. After a long career as a journalist, Margaret found herself with more time and a deep desire to give back to the community she loved. She noticed that many of the town's stories, its founding, its struggles, and its triumphs were at risk of being forgotten. Determined to change that, she embarked on a journey to document every detail, from the oldest family histories to the most significant local events. Margaret's research was meticulous. She spent countless hours in archives, poring over old newspapers, letters, and photographs. She interviewed elderly residents, capturing their memories and anecdotes before they were lost to time. Her dedication to accuracy and detail was unmatched, and soon she began weaving these fragments of the past into compelling narratives. Her first book, Echoes of Our Town, became an instant local treasure. It chronicled the town's early days, from its humble beginnings as a small settlement to its growth into a thriving community. Readers were captivated by her vivid descriptions and the personal stories she included, which brought history to life in a way that felt intimate and relatable. But Margaret didn't stop there. She went on to publish several more books, each focusing on a different aspect of the town's heritage. One explored the impact of the railroad on local industry, while another highlighted the contributions of immigrant families who had shaped the town's culture. Her work became a bridge between generations, helping younger residents understand and appreciate the roots of their community. Margaret's books did more than just preserve history. They sparked a renewed interest in the town's past. Schools began using her works as educational resources, and local museums featured her research in their exhibits. She also organized community events such as history walks and storytelling nights, where residents could come together to celebrate their shared heritage. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Margaret's work was how it brought people together. Her books became conversation starters, inspiring families to share their own stories and traditions. She even helped reunite long-lost relatives by uncovering forgotten family connections in her research. Margaret Lane's legacy is a testament to the power of storytelling. Through her words, she not only preserved the history of her town, but also strengthened the bonds within her community. Her work reminds us that the past is not just a collection of dates and events, it's a living, breathing part of who we are. Next, we'll travel across borders to meet a retired doctor who brought healing to those in need, proving that compassion knows no boundaries. Now, let's shift our focus to a story that takes us far beyond borders, where one man's retirement became a lifeline for countless lives. Meet Dr. Samuel Carter, a retired physician who traded the comforts of home for the challenges of providing medical care in some of the world's most underserved regions. After decades of practicing medicine in a bustling city hospital, Dr. Carter could have chosen a quiet retirement, but his heart was drawn to a different path, one that led him to remote villages, refugee camps, and communities where access to basic health care was a luxury. Armed with his medical expertise and an unshakable sense of purpose, he embarked on a mission to bring healing where it was needed most. Dr. Carter's work took him to places where resources were scarce and conditions were often dire. In one village, he treated children suffering from malnutrition, using whatever supplies he could carry in his medical bag. In another, he performed surgeries in makeshift clinics, often working by the light of a single bulb. Despite the challenges, he never wavered, driven by a belief that every person, no matter where they lived, deserved the right to quality health care. One of the most profound moments of his journey came in a refugee camp where he treated a young boy with a severe infection. The boy's family had lost everything, and his condition was worsening by the day. With limited antibiotics available, Dr. Carter improvised, using his knowledge to create a treatment plan that saved the boy's life. It was moments like these that reminded him why he had chosen this path, not just to heal bodies but to restore hope. Dr. Carter's philosophy on global health was simple yet powerful. He believed that healthcare was a universal right, not a privilege, and that the world's most vulnerable populations deserved the same level of care as anyone else. He often spoke about the interconnectedness of humanity, emphasizing that the health of one community affects us all. His work wasn't just about treating illnesses, it was about building bridges of compassion and understanding across cultures. Over the years, Dr. Carter's efforts inspired others to join him. He mentored young doctors and nurses, teaching them not only medical skills but also the importance of empathy and resilience. Together, they established mobile clinics, trained local healthcare workers, and implemented programs to address long-term health challenges. His legacy wasn't just in the lives he saved, but in the systems he helped create, ensuring that communities could continue to thrive long after he was gone. Dr. Samuel Carter's story is a powerful reminder that retirement doesn't have to mean stepping back. It can mean stepping forward into a new chapter of service. His dedication to global health shows us that no matter our age or stage in life, we all have the power to make a difference. Next, we'll meet an engineer whose ingenuity brought life-changing technology to those who needed it most, proving that innovation can transform lives in extraordinary ways. Now, let's turn our attention to a story of innovation and compassion, where one man's retirement became a beacon of hope for those who had lost a part of themselves. Meet James Thompson, a retired engineer whose passion for problem-solving led him to create affordable prosthetics for amputees around the world. After a long and successful career designing cutting-edge technology, James could have spent his retirement enjoying the fruits of his labor. But he had always been driven by a desire to use his skills for something greater. One day, while volunteering at a rehabilitation center, he met a young man who had lost his leg in an accident. The man shared how the high cost of prosthetics had left him unable to walk, robbing him of his independence. That moment sparked something in James, a determination to change lives through accessible technology. James began by studying the existing prosthetic designs, quickly realizing that the high costs were often due to unnecessary complexity and expensive materials. He set out to create a simpler, more affordable solution without compromising on quality. Using his engineering expertise, he designed a prosthetic limb that was not only functional but also lightweight and easy to assemble. His breakthrough came when he discovered a way to use locally sourced materials, drastically reducing production costs. The impact of James's work was immediate and profound. In one rural community, he fitted a farmer who had lost his arm in a machinery accident. With his new prosthetic, the farmer was able to return to work, providing for his family once again. In another case, a young girl who had lost her leg to illness was able to walk to school for the first time in years, her face lighting up with joy as she took her first steps. These moments became the driving force behind James's mission, reminding him of the power of innovation to transform lives. But James didn't stop there. He knew that making the prosthetics affordable was only half the battle. They also needed to be accessible. He partnered with local organizations to set up clinics in underserved areas, training technicians to assemble and fit the prosthetics on site. This not only created jobs but also ensured that the technology reached those who needed it most. His approach was rooted in collaboration, empowering communities to take ownership of the solution. James's work didn't just restore mobility, it restored dignity. For many amputees, his prosthetics were more than just devices, they were a second chance at life. His innovations proved that technology, when designed with empathy and purpose, could bridge the gap between privilege and need. As we reflect on James Thompson's story, we're reminded that retirement can be a time of reinvention, a chance to use our skills and passions to make a lasting impact. His journey shows us that even the most complex challenges can be overcome with creativity, determination, and a heart for service. Next, we'll meet a teacher whose dedication to education brought hope to children who had lost everything, proving that knowledge can be a powerful force for change. Now, let's shift our focus to a story of resilience and hope, where one woman's passion for education became a lifeline for children who had lost everything. Meet Margaret Carter, a retired teacher whose dedication to learning inspired her to open a school for refugee children in her community. After decades of teaching in public schools, Margaret could have chosen to spend her retirement relaxing and enjoying her well-earned rest. But the plight of refugee families in her area tugged at her heart. She noticed children who had fled war and hardship, often arriving with nothing but the clothes on their backs, struggling to adapt to a new life without access to education. For Margaret, this was a call to action. She knew that education was more than just a tool for learning. It was a source of stability, hope, and empowerment. With determination and resourcefulness, Margaret transformed an old community center into a vibrant school. She designed a curriculum that not only covered basic subjects like math and reading, but also focused on emotional healing and cultural integration. Recognizing the trauma many of her students had endured, she incorporated art therapy and storytelling into her lessons, giving children a safe space to express their feelings and rebuild their confidence. Teaching displaced students came with its own set of challenges. Many of the children spoke different languages, and some had never attended school before. Margaret worked tirelessly to bridge these gaps, often spending extra hours after class to provide one-on-one support. She also enlisted the help of volunteers and translators, creating a network of support that ensured no child was left behind. One of her most inspiring initiatives was a mentorship program that paired older students with younger ones. This not only fostered a sense of community, but also gave the older children a chance to develop leadership skills. Margaret believed that empowering her students to help one another was just as important as the lessons she taught. The impact of Margaret's school was profound. For many of the children, it was the first time they felt a sense of belonging in their new home. Parents, too, found hope in seeing their children thrive, knowing that education was giving them a chance at a brighter future. Margaret's school became more than just a place of learning. It was a sanctuary where dreams could take root and grow. Margaret's story reminds us that education is a powerful force for change, especially in the lives of those who have lost so much. Her tireless efforts show that even in retirement, we can use our skills and passions to make a difference, one child at a time. Next, we'll meet a businesswoman whose vision and determination empowered countless women to build better lives for themselves and their families. Now, let's turn our attention to a story of empowerment and transformation, where one woman's vision sparked a movement that changed countless lives. Meet Linda Harper, a retired businesswoman who traded boardrooms for grassroots change, dedicating her retirement to lifting women out of poverty through the power of entrepreneurship. Linda spent decades climbing the corporate ladder, building a successful career in finance, but after retiring, she realized her work wasn't finished. She had always been passionate about gender equality and economic empowerment, and she saw an opportunity to use her expertise to make a lasting impact. Inspired by the resilience of women in underserved communities, Linda founded a microfinance program designed to help women start and grow their own businesses. Her approach was both practical and compassionate. Linda understood that many women lacked access to traditional banking services, so she created a system that provided small, low-interest loans without requiring collateral. But she didn't stop there. She also offered training workshops on financial literacy, business planning, and marketing, equipping women with the tools they needed to succeed. One of Linda's key strategies was fostering a sense of community among the women she supported. She organized regular meetups where entrepreneurs could share their experiences, exchange ideas, and encourage one another. These gatherings became a source of inspiration and solidarity, helping women overcome the isolation that often comes with starting a business. The success stories that emerged from Linda's program were nothing short of remarkable. Take Maria, for example, a single mother who used her loan to open a small bakery. With Linda's guidance, Maria not only grew her business but also hired other women from her neighborhood, creating jobs and boosting the local economy. Then there was Amina, who started a tailoring shop and eventually expanded to employ 10 other women, transforming her family's future in the process. Linda's impact extended far beyond individual success stories. Her program became a catalyst for change in entire communities. As women gained financial independence, they invested in their children's education, improved their living conditions, and became role models for the next generation. Linda's work proved that when women are given the tools to thrive, they can lift up not only themselves but also those around them. What made Linda's approach so effective was her belief in the power of collaboration. She partnered with local organizations, recruited volunteers, and even mentored younger women to take on leadership roles within the program. Her goal was to create a self-sustaining model that would continue to empower women long after she stepped back. Linda's story is a testament to the ripple effect of empowerment. By investing in women, she didn't just change individual lives, she transformed communities and inspired a legacy of resilience and hope. Her work reminds us that retirement can be a time of reinvention, where our skills and passions can create opportunities for others to flourish. Next, we'll meet a retiree whose love for her community brought people together in ways no one could have imagined. Now, let's step into the heart of a small town where one retiree's passion for connection turned into a movement that brought an entire community closer together. Meet Margaret Thompson, a retired school counselor who believed that the strength of a community lies in the bonds between its people. After decades of helping students navigate life's challenges, Margaret turned her attention to her neighborhood, determined to create a space where everyone felt they belonged. Margaret's journey began with a simple idea, a monthly potluck dinner. She started by inviting a handful of neighbors to her home, encouraging them to bring a dish and share a story. What began as a small gathering quickly grew into a beloved tradition, drawing people from all walks of life. Margaret's warmth and enthusiasm made everyone feel welcome, and soon the potlucks became a cornerstone of community life. But Margaret didn't stop there. Recognizing that many people in her town felt isolated, especially seniors and newcomers, she launched a series of initiatives to foster connection. She organized book clubs, gardening workshops, and even intergenerational storytelling nights where elders shared their life experiences with younger residents. Each event was designed to break down barriers and create opportunities for meaningful interaction. One of Margaret's most impactful projects was the creation of a community garden. She rallied volunteers to transform an abandoned lot into a vibrant green space where neighbors could grow vegetables, flowers, and friendships. The garden became a symbol of unity, with people of all ages pitching in to plant, tend, and harvest. It wasn't just about the produce, it was about the conversations, the laughter, and the sense of shared purpose that blossomed alongside the plants. Margaret's efforts didn't just bring people together, they also strengthened the fabric of the community. Families who had never spoken before became friends, seniors who had felt lonely found companionship, and newcomers, once strangers, now felt like they were part of something bigger. Margaret's events became a lifeline for many, offering a sense of belonging that had been missing in their lives. What made Margaret's work so powerful was her ability to see the potential in every person and every space. She believed that everyone had something to contribute, and she made it her mission to create opportunities for people to shine. Whether it was organizing a talent show, hosting a holiday craft fair, or simply lending an ear to someone in need, Margaret's actions were guided by a deep sense of care and inclusivity. Her impact was felt far beyond the events she organized. Margaret's initiative sparked a ripple effect, inspiring others to take the lead in creating their own community projects. Her legacy is one of connection, proving that even the smallest acts of kindness can bring people together in profound ways. Margaret's story reminds us that retirement isn't just about stepping back, it's about stepping up. By dedicating her time and energy to building a stronger, more connected community, she showed us the power of unity and the importance of creating spaces where everyone feels valued. As we wrap up these 20 incredible stories, let's take a moment to reflect on the extraordinary impact these retirees have made. Their journeys remind us that purpose doesn't retire, it evolves, inspiring us to find new ways to make a difference in the world around us. As we come to the end of these 20 remarkable stories, it's clear that retirement is not an ending but a new beginning, a chance to redefine purpose and make a lasting impact. From teachers building schools to engineers revolutionizing clean water, from nurses opening free clinics to artists reviving communities, each of these retirees has shown us that age is no barrier to creating change. Their stories remind us that the wisdom, skills, and passion we accumulate over a lifetime can be powerful tools for good when shared with others. What ties these stories together is a common thread of purpose. These retirees didn't just step away from their careers, they stepped into roles that allowed them to give back, to inspire, and to uplift. They saw challenges not as obstacles but as opportunities to make a difference. Whether it was feeding the hungry, mentoring the next generation, or preserving cultural heritage, their actions prove that even small efforts can ripple outward, transforming lives and communities in profound ways. But the beauty of these stories isn't just in what these retirees accomplished, it's in how they remind us of our own potential. Retirement can be a time to explore new passions, to connect with others, and to contribute in ways that align with our values. It's a chance to ask ourselves, what can I do to make a difference? How can I use my time, skills, and resources to leave the world a little better than I found it? As we reflect on these inspiring journeys, let's also think about our own. Each of us has something unique to offer, whether it's a skill, a story, or simply a willingness to lend a hand. The retirees we've met today didn't wait for someone else to step up. They took the initiative, and in doing so, they showed us the power of action. Now it's your turn. What's your story? How can you make a difference in your community or beyond? Whether it's volunteering, mentoring, starting a project, or simply being a good neighbor, every effort counts. Share your ideas, your experiences, and your dreams in the comments below. Let's inspire each other to take that first step toward creating a brighter, more connected world. If these stories moved you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an inspiring tale. Together, let's celebrate the power of purpose and the incredible impact we can all make, no matter our age. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and here's to the difference we can all create, one story at a time.